My name's Andy Nonaka. I graduated from Pacific in 2002 with a degree in electrical engineering. In terms of academics, I've always been the type of person who's really been into school. I've been in school my whole life, including now, which I'll get to. But I've always just enjoyed being in class and studying for its own sake. I'm not really a typical engineer in the sense that I'm not really too hands-on. I really like being in the classroom and studying out of books, hearing lectures, learning, taking exams, and I'm really just into the whole academic environment more than anything. Right now I'm a third-year graduate student at UC Davis. I'm in the Department of Applied Science and Engineering, studying a field called computational science. I'm not studying electrical engineering anymore, but I found my way into that through advisors that I met up there. What I typically do is I'm done with all my coursework. I'm basically writing my thesis now, which is going to be on a new numerical algorithm we're writing to simulate fluid mechanics and biological micro devices. So my typical day consists of I go to the office and I don't have any hours. I just go whenever I want, as long as I get my work done. I meet with my advisor maybe once a week to once a month, work on developing new algorithms through computer code, and writing a lot of theory, and almost as if I were writing toward publication, which is actually what I am doing with the thesis. I am getting my PhD right now. I got my master's degree about 1.5 years ago. I have another 1.5 years or so till I get my PhD. That'll be in engineering applied science with the specialty in computational science. I did my second co-op at Lawrence Livermore Lab and found out about the graduate department I'm in. And currently, after I got to UC Davis, I applied for a special fellowship with the lab. So I'm actually a Lawrence Livermore employee. They pay for all my salary, and they pay for my tuition as well. And I work with people at Livermore and at Davis on my research. So my relationship with the lab is I did a co-op there, but when I did my first co-op, I was doing electronic diagnostics for their laser systems. But I'm doing a completely different field now and working in the computational department, developing algorithms and using supercomputers there to speed up the process. So it's a really good deal with Livermore. You get paid fairly well. And in fact, if you go to graduate school in engineering, you will get paid. They will cover your tuition. It's just a matter of exactly how much you get. But every school these days does that, which is something I didn't realize when I was going into grad schools. But any engineering graduate program should pay for everything and give you a stipend as well. The first job I did at the lab when I was a junior senior as a co-op, I was doing laser target diagnostics. So what does that mean? They have these giant lasers where they like to shoot. They can shoot anything they want. They normally shoot like hydrogen capsules. I'm not an expert in that, but what I was learning how to do was build these diagnostic tools so they could capture the X-rays and the photons, and you could see them on the computer screen. Basically a really high-tech camera. So I would spend my time there fixing cameras and actually running them on some of the laser shoots. And that was for 7 months in my first co-op. Now that I'm there as a grad student, I'm in a different department doing computational work. What I do there is I develop algorithms to solve fluid mechanics and these biological microchips. And the whole application is it's a homeland security deal where they want to be able to develop these microchips to detect pathogens in air samples or fluid samples for an anti-terrorism type thing. My ideal job a couple years from now, after I get my PhD, I'd like to stay on with the lab for a couple years as a postdoc, maybe beyond, and develop more algorithms for scientific applications, even beyond fluid mechanics. I'd really like to go into teaching eventually, though, and be a professor at a teaching institution versus a research institution, because that's been my goal this whole time. And in order to get your PhD, of course, and to advance in your field, it's good to have some more work involved in the field. And in terms of the skills that I had coming into undergraduate, I was just really good in the classroom. I really liked school. I studied, and it seemed to stick fairly easily in my brain. So it just seems like a natural progression. If you're good in school, you really enjoy it, even if you don't have a particular focus, going to grad school is a really good thing because you get to stay in school longer and you get to start exploring some actual specific fields and going into solving problems that people actually haven't done. Almost anything you do in undergrad is going to be studying the basics, things that people know pretty much everything about. It's a foundation for whether you go to graduate school or whether you go into industry or even into a different field. It gives you the tools to teach you how to learn. If you happen to like the academics, grad school is a very good option because it's more of that. You're going to have another 1.5 to 2 years of classes. And then you get to pick one particular thing and study it exclusively for another 3 years after that. And then you become a so-called expert in your field, and you're able to do anything you could do before because you still have your undergrad degree. You can go into research because that's what you've been doing in the past 3-4 years. You can go into teaching because most universities require a PhD. So it opens up a lot of doors for you, and it doesn't limit you on anything by going to grad school. You can still do anything you did before. It's just you have extra options. I really wouldn't call myself a techie type person. I'm not super into computers. I use computers every day as a tool. I'm not going to go home and a lot of my friends who are really into computers, they like open up computers, fiddle around with the parts, try to figure out how it all works. I care less about that. I just use it as a tool. If you have good math skills and you've enjoyed science classes in general in high school, whether it be like physics, chemistry, biology, engineering is always a good choice. I think it looks better from an employer standpoint to see somebody with a degree in engineering. Well, say you like biology. Well, do bioengineering. I think it looks better than biology because it means you have math skills too. I just think it's a very employable position, and I would, even after going through everything, I'm very glad I have an engineering degree over anything else coming out of undergrad.